Welcome to the channel. My name is Dennis, and let me know what your thoughts are. If you go to confession, reconciliation, if you're a Catholic, and the priest absolves you of your sin, and if you were to die right afterwards, are you in a state of grace? Do you go straight to heaven? Or do you need perhaps some time in purgatory still? Well, I can't answer that 100%, but I think I can get pretty close because there's this beautiful gift of what our church offers and provides. It's called a plenary indulgence. And just here coming out of Divine Mercy Sunday, where many Catholics do what they need to do to meet the conditions of this plenary indulgence. And what the definition of a plenary indulgence is, it is a complete is the key word there, complete remission of the temporal punishment due to sins that have already been forgiven. It can be obtained under certain conditions set by the Catholic Church, such as being in a state of grace and performing specific good works or prayers. So sometimes as Catholics, we forget that even though we confess our sins to a priest in reconciliation, and the priest asks us to say some prayers afterwards, right? We have been forgiven by God. There is that endless mercy that God will forgive us our sins, but we still have to pay the price of our sinful behavior, right? In the same way, if you have kids or had kids, they do something bad. You love them, they're your children, right? And you will forgive them. But to teach them a lesson, they need to pay the price. They need to be punished in some way, whether that's being grounded, whether that's sitting time out, whether that's taking away something that they enjoy, whether it's TV for a few hours or a day. Whatever that punishment is, that is the temporal punishment that's referred to for our souls when we go to confession. That punishment is still there. And same way that criminals may be forgiven by society for their criminal acts, but they still have to pay the price, spending time in prison, paying a fine, right? That is the punishment. So with the plenary indulgence, that punishment is completely wiped clean from our souls. That means we don't have to spend any time in purgatory as long as we remain in that state of grace. So it's an incredible gift. And so there are conditions to obtain this plenary indulgence. One is that you have to be in a state of grace when you perform the indulgence act. Two, you have to have complete detachment from all sin, including venial sin, the small ones, and also perform a specific act designated by the church, such as a prayer, a pilgrimage, or a charitable work. Now, additional requirements are to go to confession, and my understanding is you can go to confession 20 days before or after you are to receive this indulgence, and also receive Holy Communion. It doesn't specify during Mass, although that's always a good thing, but it just specifies receiving Holy Communion and also praying for the intentions of the Holy Father, which is Pope Leo XIV. So some examples of granting plenary indulgence would be visiting a designated shrine or church, participating in specific religious ceremonies, and praying the rosary or performing the Stations of the Cross. So doing those things will grant you this plenary indulgence, and it's almost as if you're being baptized for the first time, where all of your previous sin is not only gone, but the temporal punishment that would be associated with those sins is wiped clean. And as long as you remain in a state of grace, yes, the chances are really, really, really high that should and when you die, you're going to go straight to heaven. You don't have to pass through purgatory. It's straight up there. And so that is very, very powerful. Now, of course, the trick is to stay and remain in that state of grace. How long? For us is going to vary, but that's the goal that we all need to strive for. And one thing that I didn't realize until somewhat recently is that we can apply our plenary indulgence for a deceased soul. Not for somebody that's living still, but for a deceased soul. So if there's somebody in your family that passed away and you're worried, concerned about they might not have died in a state of grace to receive God's fullness and allow them to be received into the kingdom, maybe they're in purgatory, you can apply your plenary indulgence to these deceased souls. So very, very powerful. If there's those of you that have done these plenary indulgences, I'd love to hear from you. And if you have not done this before, let me know if this is something that you might consider making a part of your routine. You're allowed a plenary indulgence up to one per day. So it's pretty much limitless. But again, those conditions have to be satisfied. And so please feel free to share this content with those that you think might not have heard about what a plenary indulgence is. Thank you for watching, subscribing, and we hope to see you in heaven. God bless.